What if I told you that every war you've ever heard of was paid for by people who never held a gun? This is the story of the most powerful weapon ever created. Not a bomb, not a bullet, a promise. A contract signed by millions, read by almost no one. Welcome to the invisible battlefield, where your money became your weapon and your cage. August 1914, Europe ignites. Within weeks, governments face a crisis more terrifying than enemy armies. They're running out of money. Traditional taxes couldn't fund total war. Printing money would cause inflation. They needed something new, something psychological. The solution was brilliant. Ask citizens to loan money to the state. Call it patriotic. Make it voluntary. But nothing about war bonds was truly voluntary. They engineered the most sophisticated propaganda campaign in human history. Buy bonds, save soldiers. That was the message. Simple, powerful, and scientifically designed to trigger guilt if you refused. Neighbors watched neighbors. Communities kept lists. Social pressure became economic policy. Not buying bonds didn't just mean you were cheap. It meant you wanted soldiers to die. At least, that's what they were told. By 1917, bond sales were embedded in workplaces, schools, churches. The entire society became a financing machine.
20 years later, they did it again. But this time, they learned everything. World War II bonds weren't just propaganda, they were art.
Hollywood sold bonds. Radio shows interrupted broadcasts. Children became collectors. It was everywhere. Inescapable. Over 85 million Americans bought war bonds. That's nearly 65% of the population. Imagine 2 out of every 3 people financing a war they had no say in starting. But bonds did more than fund weapons. They controlled you, your spending, your savings, your behavior. When people bought bonds, they couldn't spend money on other things. This controlled inflation, regulated the economy, and disciplined the workforce without force. Here's what they didn't tell you. Every bond was a promise that future citizens would pay back through taxes and inflation. You signed a contract for your children. Fast forward, the posters are gone, the rallies ended, but the system, it evolved. Today's wars aren't funded by war bonds, they're funded by treasury bonds, defense appropriations, and central bank operations. Same result, different name. Your pension fund owns government bonds, your bank holds them, your savings account invests in them. You're financing wars without knowing it. The connection is hidden behind layers, financial instruments, institutional investors, budget allocations. Complexity is the camouflage. In 1944, they asked you directly. In 2024, they don't ask at all. They just take, quietly, systematically. Debt makes war politically easier. Leaders don't need to raise taxes before conflict. They borrow, spend, and let future governments deal with consequences. Since 1945, debt-financed conflicts have become the norm. The pattern is clear. Borrow now, fight now, pay later. Democratic consent becomes theater when the real decisions, how to fund force, happen in bond markets, not ballot boxes. In World War II, bond drives created emotional connection to war. Today, you feel nothing because you pay nothing directly. Money has become abstract. When payment is invisible, so is moral responsibility. You're funding the system, but you don't feel the weight.
distance isn't just geographic, it's psychological. Financial abstraction creates moral distance. The less you feel the cost, the easier violence becomes. Every dollar spent on conflict is a dollar not spent on healthcare, education, infrastructure. But you never see that trade-off.
Then one day you notice prices rising, services cutting, taxes increasing. You're paying the bill for wars you forgot were financed.
National debt isn't abstract. It's your mortgage, your student loan, your retirement plan, all competing with bond obligations from conflicts past and present. When governments prioritize debt repayment over public investment, you feel it. Longer wait times, crumbling roads, underfunded schools. The hidden cost becomes visible. Some begin to ask, where does my money actually go? Who benefits? Why wasn't I told? The questions that were suppressed in wartime resurface in peacetime. Awareness spreads, not through propaganda, but through lived experience. When people connect their financial pain to systemic choices, they stop accepting the invisible contract. The system worked because citizens believed. When belief breaks, so does the contract. But what comes next? The future of war financing won't look like bonds or taxes. It will be automated, algorithmic, and absolutely invisible. Imagine money that finances war automatically. Every transaction triggers micro-investments in defense. You buy coffee, a fraction funds a missile. No choice, no awareness. Artificial intelligence could optimize war financing with ruthless efficiency. Borrow at the perfect moment. Distribute costs so subtly no one notices until it's too late. Global debt markets mean your taxes fund not just your country's wars, but conflicts worldwide through interconnected bonds and financial instruments. The psychological risk is total detachment. Future citizens may live in complete comfort while unknowingly funding perpetual conflict. Pleasure and violence perfectly separated. When systems become invisible, collective memory fades. Future generations won't even know to ask where their money goes. Responsibility without awareness is the most dangerous form of power. You can be complicit in systems you don't understand, suffering consequences you never connected to your actions. So, here's the question no one wants to answer. Can democracy survive when citizens unknowingly finance violence? Is consent meaningful if it's never truly informed? Every generation thinks their system is different, more civilized, more justified. But the pattern repeats. Crisis, borrowing, belief, debt, consequence. The hidden contract isn't written on paper. It's written in culture, education, media, and fear. You're taught that financing state power is natural, necessary, noble. The system continues because we don't ask questions. Not because we can't, but because we've been trained not to. Trained to see complexity and surrender understanding. You're not just watching this story. You're in it. Every day you participate in systems that shape the world. The question isn't whether you're part of the contract. You already are. The question is, now that you know, what will you do? The hidden contract exists because we accept it. Changing it starts with seeing it. And you just did.